Hello everyone, Richard Lewis here again with another video, and I know that a lot of you will have been waiting for this one. Just a few words at the top of the show. Obviously, a lot of people have been coming into the channel and giving feedback and helping support the growth and everything. Really appreciate that. Couple of things. Yes, this is just my room. The lighting's not great in it, and the camera angle probably is not great. I probably am a little bit too close. We're recording all of this on a laptop. Some of you know I've got a job with Turner Sports. I've just moved out to America, so I'm kind of not operating with my usual setup. I just bought some sound equipment. I'm looking to obviously get my desktop and everything brought over, so that should be here soon. So I apologize for the overall quality of the video, but the content is indeed the message, and the content itself of the video, things will look a lot better soon. Now, this video is one that we obtained these logs, as you know, from a hacker, which proved that CSGO Shuffle was indeed owned and operated by Phantom Lord, that Phantom Lord had, it looks like, rigged roles for favorable outcomes when he was placing bets on the site. And it was a coder called Joris whose account, his Skype account, had been compromised. Joris is a French coder, and he had extensive conversations with the other co-owner of the site, cAre, who is somebody who is known in the skins trading scene and has had associations with a few sites. Now, we had to get these logs translated. Now, we had them translated by one individual who's we absolutely trust on this, and then we had them looked at another individual just to confirm some of the parts we're going to bring to you in this video. But what we're going to show you over the course of the video, and we will try and make it as short as possible, is we're going to show you, again, absolute proof that these people were in cahoots, that they operated this website together, proof that they were aware of some of the legal issues surrounding the website and indeed the gambling area. We're going to show you the financials of this, the amount of money they had made at the time that the logs shut down, and as well, we're going to show you some of the other relationships, some of the other partners that they had in sponsoring and promoting this website. So this might be a little bit longer than some of the other videos. We're going to try and present this information as succinctly as possible. So then, Sam, shall we get right into it?
Let's get right into it, man.
Okay, so let's start on September 17th, 2015. You will see here that Joris says the UK government is after us, I think. cAre says what? Joris links to the gambling commission.gov.uk. This refers specifically to several online gambling sites, as we've talked about in other videos, which issued cease and desist letters. The UK IPs were blocked from going to certain sites that complied with the law, and that's what happened around about this time. You can see cAre say, and Joris says, dunno, I need to see with James. cAre says, when I saw the lawyer, he told me that anyway, for us, EU or US, it's impossible to create a company. This heavily implies that they knew they were never going to be a proper or correct entity. The lawyer told me that the best thing to do is to create it where every other online poker, etc. company are going. Low taxes and authorization to create it there. Now, this could refer to some of the island nations. This could refer to places like Malta. It could even refer to places like Vegas that have very different gambling laws in the US. We're not quite sure of the specifics, but when you consider there's other websites out there that do operate in places like Antigua, it does make me wonder. Joris says, we never planned to create a company here or the US anyway. Here, obviously referring to his native France. cAre says, I know, right? I was just asking to have this opinion. So again, we can see there that these are two people. They were talking about their business, talking about the legalities of their business, and planning what is the best practice to move forward. There's absolutely no argument in that exchange that they are aware that there is law and legislature surrounding a gambling website. Briefly, on the 19th of November, the two held a conversation about one of their potential streaming partners, somebody that was sponsored by the site and promoted the site. We're only introducing these individuals over the course of this conversation because we just want to give you an idea of who else could potentially be connected. We're not saying they are connected outside of having sponsorships. We just want to be as transparent as possible with the logs and sort of show the spread of this business. So on the 19th at 6 minutes past 9 a.m., you can see cAre says, and Chelsea, is she worth it or not? Chelsea is a French YouTuber or streamer. Because so far, I only saw her betting $50. Nothing else is really coming from her. Yup. And then he talks about a bug relating to their terms of service. Now, this is interesting because obviously what they're alluding to there is that if you're sponsored by this website, in particular CSGO Shuffle, although I think we can extrapolate gambling sites in general, it's better that you bet big because more moments are going to come out of it. And of course, anybody who has gambled knows you wouldn't do that. Betting big is actually a very good way to go bust very quickly, but this is what is encouraged by these businesses. And therefore, we can say anybody that does this gives a very unrealistic depiction of what gambling actually is when they're streaming. Now, on the 25th of November, another potential partner is introduced. They talk about how they need to tweet about a giveaway. Joris says we're giving away a Dragon Law, an AK Racing Octane Orange chair. And they say visit the CSGO Shuffle to enter. And then they say we need to add something about the DreamHack. Add hashtag DreamHack or something like DreamHack is coming at the beginning. Something like this. A few little high five smileys there. And then it said you didn't have to tag the DreamHack account on the picture. And they then keep talking about this DreamHack giveaway. Joris says delete. You screwed up. Look at what I've sent you. It's up to date. Wait before you redo it. And then they changed the graphics. Now, in the tweet they mentioned DreamHack. They do say on the picture, tag CSGO Shuffle, aka Racing Europe, Rosie River, and not DreamHack. Rosie River is another streamer. So did DreamHack do this giveaway? We haven't been able to really find any references to a partnership there, but obviously we'd like DreamHack to clarify in the same way that, Razer were mentioned, and we know that Razer, beyond having a few sponsorships, didn't have anything to do with the ins and outs. A little bit later on the same day at 11:50 a.m., you can see cAre says any news about the escrow system, and they're talking about OP Skins. OP Skins were meant to be introducing an escrow system soon. They knew about it because obviously they were running a gambling website that used OP Skins to deposit skins, and it's obviously important to their business. Says, do you know anything more than everybody? Joris says Kappa 123. cAre says, so you don't know anything. Joris says, nope. Then he says a little question. Can I keep the cases on another account, like the small cases that doesn't worth shit, instead of sending them back? Joris says, nope. cAre says, don't be a douche. Actually, over the course of the logs, and Sam, you can verify this, there's a few instances where cAre refers to Joris as boss, I believe it is, or
yeah, boss.
Calls him boss. Now, I think this implies that there's a hierarchy there of some sort because, they're not from London, are they?
No. You're right, boss. You're right, chief.
All right, governor. All right, governor. Tipping my hat to you, governor. So I think this does imply a hierarchy here. James, Joris, and then cAre. That's what I've taken from the logs, at least. We now go to November the 30th, 2015, and you can see cAre contacts Joris to let him know about a tweet from OP Skins. This is the OP Skins announcement they talked about earlier, where they say OP Skins and our bots are prepared for the ESCO trade holds account system, and all sale deliveries will be instant. This links to a Reddit thread where they talk about how trade holds are starting on December the 9th for trades in which a user losing items doesn't have the Steam Guard mobile authenticator. This was one of the first changes that came in that really altered how this skins trade was working, and OP Skins were trying to get ahead of the curve. You can also see here, it's unclear at this time whether you also need trade confirmations enabled. We've received no response from Valve on that. I don't know to read that if OP Skins had been in contact with Valve about the other things, or they just hadn't received a notification from Valve on this particular matter. But it is interesting. You guys know yourselves from the cease and desist letter, OP Skins not mentioned in that letter. OP Skins continuing to operate as normal, despite the fact that a lot of these sites were depositing their goods and using OP Skins to sell their goods. Certainly, we have proof of that. You'll see that a little bit later in this video, but we've also got logs between Joris and OP Skins, which we're going to go through with a fine-tooth comb and present our findings in the same way we have already. On December the 4th at 15:51, you can see Joris and cAre have a light-hearted argument about how cAre has been sniping Chelsea when she bets. Now, Sam, you had to explain what sniping was to me. What's sniping?
Yeah, so basically when people are like betting consistently amount, you just go in with a massively like over the top amount to, you know, steal the money from them. Basically just take an overwhelming majority so you most of the time win the pot.
See, I used to use that term sniping when people were in a pub and they'd watch you on a fruit machine.
Yeah. Sniping, yeah. Same thing.
Right. Same thing. Okay, cool. And then cAre says, lol, she bet against me, and then she asked to give it back. And all her stream comes and spam my chat. So fuck off. She can blow my D. Joris, she can. Joris, well, all our viewers are some kiddie. Now, this is interesting. This next part of the conversation, they talk very much about the age of the audience. And I don't want to read all of this in the interests of expediency, but you can see why cAre and Joris are having this conversation. cAre is arguing that he doesn't believe Chelsea brings much to the table in terms of being sponsored, and implies that Joris is doing it because of a personal relationship. Chelsea equals French plus young audience. I don't think what we're spending on Chelsea is worth it. We'd better keep what we pay her or give it to someone else. It's only kiddos who will come and bet $10 to $20, not a big community who will come for the big bets. We'd better focus on big streamers like Official Floor or others. So here cAre is actually arguing, saying these kiddie bettors, not from a moral standpoint, I must add, but they do not want young people betting because their bankroll isn't big enough. But this is very important within the context of what we're talking about. These are two people who run a gambling site explicitly talking about how they know underage or kid bettors use their site. They continue, and it's important to include this bit because there is still, despite what I have explained multiple times, there are still people who believe Hotted is more involved than he is. All evidence has pointed to Hotted only being sponsored. These logs further clarify that point. Joris says, in that situation, explain how the 7,500, we believe that amount to be dollars worth of skins that we pay to Hotted are worth it. He started with roughly the same amount as Chelsea. James told me to lower him, cAre says, again referring to Phantom Lord, and throw the gap somewhere else. And he's here at 7,500 only because it's your friend. By somewhere else, I mean someone else. He's more of an icon in gambling than Chelsea, exclamation mark. But yeah, 75. So here they're arguing about Hotted's value to the operation. Again, these conversations all took place behind Hotted's back. He is only talked about as a promotional tool. Then you can see cAre again makes the point that that's your point of view, but in my opinion, Hotted reaches way more to bettors with the big bets he does. He's bringing in a lot of big bettors. Again, this idea that if you bet big, you encourage other people to come and do the same. Compared to Chelsea, who in my opinion only brings 12-year-olds who are totally submitted to her. But yeah, maybe my mind isn't neutral since I don't like her at all. Joris then follows up by saying, of course she's bringing a lot of small kids, but she's generating a lot of traffic, and it helps to get the website known. Joris is very clear here. He doesn't care how old you are as long as you come to the site. He says, look at her history. She's already bet 11.7K in total. And cAre says, yeah, that's roughly what we give her. I don't like her. I'm still thinking she's useless. They then make reference to someone called Acre and how he had bothered cAre and asked for skins. And at this juncture, we see the first mention of a professional Counter-Strike player's name. cAre says, did you know that Seized from Na'Vi talked to me trying to get some skins from me? He already wins so much by being a pro. Look at that. Joris says, they don't win that much in my opinion. Then, further on, there is a message that is removed, followed by a dot, dot, dot. We are trying to read into the context here. We believe that somebody was maybe demanding skins from them because Joris reacts by saying, laughing my ass off, that son of a bitch. cAre says, in my opinion, I think if you give him 1K or 2.5K max, and then Chelsea will do the same, betting small 50 by 50 and losing everything. A little bit later on, Joris says, for the same investment between reaching out to 100K of kiddos and reaching out to 10K of normal people, I choose the 100K personally. In every way, nobody will get us the money back if we pay them 2.5K a week. And then he says, no sleep is useless. Again, you can see Joris's stance on this. He would rather reach 100,000 underage bettors than 10,000 adults. His words, that's what he says. You can then see that these two individuals criticize No Sleep Stream. In particular, Joris says that it is 90% garbage, 5% gameplay, and 5% shuffle. So get rid of that noob. We need to find someone who doesn't know shit about betting, but with a big community who will bet randomly and will bring people. So again, this is about finding somebody with a big community, somebody who has a lot of followers and maybe doesn't know about betting, so they can use him and in turn use his community or use their community to promote their product. Still on December the 4th at 16:26, cAre says, I'm satisfied by Hotted, even though he's expensive since it's Phantom's friend and he's known, so to speak. Rosie, well, I think she's doing great. Chelsea, you already know my opinion. And James is James. Joris says Hotted will go down anyway. cAre says, I have more viewers than him when I stream. That's harsh for him because he's cool and shit, but his community is small. That sucks because he's a good guy. Phantom wants to lower him to 3K. Yeah, he told me, giving me skins as well, I heard. As always, I have to do the dirty work. Well, you're the most outsider guy between all of us, so it's easy for him to hear it from you. You're the bad boy of Shuffle. Then he says, yeah, this is Joris. I'm not the dude that tells him when we raise him, but I'm the one who comes when we have to lower him. Sarcastic. And Phantom, that's Phantom Lord again, wants 2K for Tory. Tory being Dingle Derper. cAre says that the 2,000 that they want to pay Dingle Derper is reasonable and makes more sense than Chelsea. Like Chelsea should be 2K, Hotted 4K, Tory, again, Dingle Derper, 2K, Rosie 2K, me if we can, and Phantom. Or even if there's some overflow, raise Tory and Rosie to 3K. But on my side, I've won a shitload of shitty skins, so I'm fine. Phantom is still Phantom, and the rest is cool. Then to close out December the 4th, we have another mention of what we presume and believe to be another pro player. Joris asks, how much do I send to Olaf? That was at 17:22. We presume this, and certainly it makes sense, to be Olaf Meister. cAre says, is he streaming? He will bet on the site during his next stream. Give him about 2K of BS. We think, again, this means $2,000 worth of small skins, so he doesn't bet too big. On the next day, Saturday, the 5th of December, 2015, cAre's obviously had a hard night's gambling and types, Joris, I need a little percent. I just lost $14,000 on Shuffle. Now, Joris doesn't give him the percent. We didn't find any instances in these logs of cAre receiving a percent from Joris. When he asked, Joris never responded. Now, we don't know if this is because they were extra careful and cAre did rig, but within the parameters of the evidence we found, we saw no evidence to believe cAre had received percentages and fixed outcomes. That's very important. What that does show is that he was aware Joris was willing to give the percentage. It probably implies he knew that Phantom Lord was getting percentages. And of course, he knew enough about the mechanics of the website to know that with a percentage, outcomes could be rigged. On December 9th at 14:41, they referred to a tweet by CSGO Wild that refers to one of their giveaways. The tweet is still there. You can see it's an insane CSGOWild.com double-sided loadout giveaway worth $10,000. One winner takes all, drawn December the 19th. You can then see that they're like reacting to it. Oh my God, these dudes, I have no idea what they're doing. They tried to go on Twitter, I guess. Well, 10K though, what the fuck? Hashtag rigged. cAre says clear. The owner found himself from one day to another with 25 Dragon Laws in his inventory. There's been many discussions on Reddit because of their shady website. Joris then says, it's the FaZe Clan website, right? cAre says, yep. Want to try a little commercial move? And then we see the introduction of another named personality, this time Summit. cAre says Summit is queuing since 1 hour for a Face It game. He's bored. Send him some skins and tell him to play on the site. He's with Skin Arena, I think, says Joris. cAre says, nah, he's alone at the moment. And then they talk about how no one is using Shuffle, again, due to a bug. Now, this is the part of the video I'm sure most of you will be waiting for. On the 15th of December, 2015, cAre and Joris talk explicitly about the finances. And first, they talk about what we believe is OP skins. cAre says, any news from Phantom about the company/money? Joris says, no, we don't speak that much lately. cAre says, okay. My understanding here is that cAre and Joris had both been told that it would be Phantom Lord who would look into getting the business founded. Think about the conversation earlier in the video. That responsibility had been delegated to James. cAre then says, Tucker licked my balls yesterday about Shuffle. That was lovely. Joris laughs and cAre continues, Shuffle is the only partner we have. The others are only using us, but you're the only partner, blah, blah, blah. If you need anything, don't hesitate. And Joris says, obviously, we, with the 2 million we sold through their website. cAre says, yes. Now, we don't know who Tucker is individually. We speculate that OP Skins could be the website. And the 2 million certainly is $2 million. By the way, do you have the numbers about how much he owes us without taxes, etc.? Joris says nothing more than the Google document, but there's 960,000 that are waiting on OP Skins. cAre says, is the document updated? Joris says no, but it shouldn't be more. cAre says he cashed out some stuff since. He's using the admin account to check out how much, then he goes to see John. We've seen the name John mentioned before in these logs. We're still unsure as to who this John is. Joris says, I'm a check in 5, but I don't think there's been any cash out lately, at least not since my last update. cAre says, okay, I'm going to see with Phantom to get him to get the money out of OP Skins. Well, Joris says, whether on his account or OP Skins, it's pretty much the same. Only difference is he'll have to pay taxes. Yes, the dock is full, nothing is missing. cAre says, personally, I'd rather know that the money is on his account. We never know with OP Skins. Within this context, we believe he is Phantom Lord. Joris says 1.14279. So this is $1,141,279 if you add up everything that is on the dock. And then cAre says, yeah, so we're at 2 million with Salamex, etc. included. And then Joris says, no, that's only the OP Skins cash out. So again, those numbers tie to the 2 million we sold through his website. We now can say quite safely the website was OP Skins. And we also know from other logs that they had a very close relationship with OP Skins. Joris says 800,000 direct PayPal. So basically 1,940K, so that's 1.9 million entered through PayPal, plus 960,000 on OP Skins. cAre then says, so we made a little bit less than 3 million since the beginning. Joris says yes. To close out the video, we're going to look at a conversation that took place across the 27th of December to the 28th of December. That kind of just shows what had happened in terms of finances. Phantom Lord was obviously pocketing the bulk of the money. And despite that $3 million that they talked about in December, the same month, they're talking about holding back skins and keys from other streamers. cAre says, Joris. Joris says, yep. cAre says, any news about the skins for the streamers? Joris, what do you mean? cAre, we talked about giving skins to streamers soon enough, like me, Rosie, Dingle, etc. Lower some, kick some others. This refers to the plan we highlighted earlier in the video. Joris says no one gets skins at the moment. Only Phantom does. The greed. No one else in the operation, no one promoting the site, not even Dingle Derper is allowed skins, apparently. cAre, okay, when will it change? cAre then hits them up over the next day with a question mark. Joris says, when there will be more traffic. No keys? Joris, yep. And there we have it. So, right at the end of the logs for December, you can see that they scale back their operations, and only Phantom Lord himself was allowed to withdraw skins or keys or anything else from CS:GO Shuffle. And it was Joris that enacted that. So, Sam, what do you think, mate?
Only Phantom.
Yeah, only Phantom Lord. That's a new meme right there, I think. Only Phantom.
Who else but Phantom?
Now, as we said at the start of the video, we will make the logs available to any media that want to review them. We will make our translations and originals available. If French media want to take a look at them, or people with the resources to translate the original logs, all they have to do is contact me. We understand that this is going to be quite shocking for some of you. This is a lot of money. We understand the bulk of it is with Phantom Lord. We're going to bring you more information about this story as it continues to develop. Thanks very much for watching the video and supporting the channel. I'll see you next time.
Peace.